How do you feel when you hear about cases of parents killing their own children? What makes a parent do this to the one they are supposed to protect and love? I hate hearing about them. I just wonder, why? How do you do this to your own child? When a parent, either the mother or father, kills their child, the act is defined as filicide. According to the website Vienna Psychological, child homicide occurs at the highest rate in the United States among developed nations. Moms and dads can both commit filicide, but in different ways. Dads tend to use weapons like knives. Moms might use their own hands to suffocate or drown a child. In this video, I will go over 5 cases of parents killing their children. Due to the sensitive nature, viewer discretion is advised. Malinda Hoagland, a young girl from West Kelm Township, which is about 45 miles west of Pennsylvania, endured horrific abuse at the hands of her father and his fiancé before succumbing to her injuries. Authorities report that Malinda, only 12 years old, was found in critical condition on May 4th. Her father, Malinda Hoagland, called emergency services claiming a bicycle accident, but upon arrival, police discovered the shocking truth. Malinda was emaciated, weighing a mere 50 pounds. The average weight for a 12-year-old girl is between 68 and 136 pounds, according to CDC data. Examination revealed extensive abuse, including severe bruising, multiple fractures, and internal organ damage. Sadly, she passed away just hours later at the hospital. Malinda Hoagland, 52, and his fiancée, Cindy Warren, 45, were apprehended 2 days later and charged in connection with Malinda's death. A social media investigation by DailyMail.com revealed a disturbing pattern. Malinda's presence vanished from her father's Facebook page in early January, while photos of Warren's son, Gavin, who police confirm was unharmed, continued to be posted. Earlier pictures of Malinda on Malinda's profile showed a concerning decline in her health. Her gaunt appearance and a possible bruise on her hand raised serious questions. Meanwhile, Malinda's social media activity displayed outings with Gavin, including movies, car races, and Cub Scouts. Cindy Warren's online presence mirrored this pattern, with a near-exclusive focus on Gavin. A single image of Malinda from December 2020 stands alone. Warren's past reveals a prior conviction in 2009. She admitted to failing to protect her then 3-year-old son, Isaiah, from abuse by her ex-husband. The abuser, McKinley Warren Jr., is currently serving a lengthy sentence for harming Isaiah and, tragically, murdering his own 2-year-old daughter from a previous relationship. Investigators believe Malinda was withdrawn from school in December and subjected to confinement, often shackled to furniture in the basement. Shockingly, authorities revealed that during online classes, Malinda would appear on camera while being shackled below, out of view of the camera. The couple allegedly added to her torture by forcing her to perform exercises like squats and running while shackled. They also withheld food as punishment for any perceived transgression. A forensic examination of recovered electronic devices exposed further evidence of the abuse. Deleted videos showed Malinda being verbally taunted and physically restrained using ankle cuffs. Other recovered footage documented her being forced to sleep on a bare floor, chained and denied basic necessities like a pillow, blanket, and meals during the day. Furthermore, investigators discovered deleted text messages exchanged by the couple shortly before calling 911. These messages allegedly discuss Malinda's deteriorating condition, with Warren urging Hoagland to rush her to the hospital rather than calling 911. Hoagland and Warren are facing serious charges, including attempted criminal homicide, assault, and kidnapping. Further charges are anticipated as the investigation continues, including murder. Both are being held on a $1 million cash bail. The couple reportedly attempted to explain Malinda's injuries as a result of a bicycle accident and a separate incident of her accidentally getting struck by another child on a water slide. Her emaciated state was attributed to weight loss over an extended period, with a planned doctor's visit fabricated as a cover story.
Malinda Hoagland and Cindy Warren subjected Malinda to evil and torment that no child should ever have to endure, and they did it for months. Videos showed that Malinda was ankle cuffed to furniture and verbally berated
Police discovered signs of abuse after a 911 call over the weekend for an unconscious child.
They found a 12-year-old girl who was broken and barely alive.
She would later die at the hospital. Now, both Hoagland and Warren were arrested last night. Right now, they're facing attempted murder charges. We're told those charges could possibly be upgraded to murder. That depends on more evidence when it comes to the medical, whatever happened medically and the autopsy. They're in jail right now at $1 million bond. And Brian, we also learned something else from the affidavit today. Warren has convictions for child endangerment in the past out of Monroe County. It says for abusing her 3-year-old son and for the death of a 2-year-old in her care.
On February 2nd, emergency responders rushed to a home on New England Drive in Roseville, California, following a desperate call for medical aid. Upon arrival, officers discovered a heartbreaking scene. A young boy, 9 years old, lay unresponsive. Despite valiant efforts, he tragically passed away 3 days later at UC Davis Medical Center. His parents were arrested on February 7th. Authorities soon unraveled a disturbing story. The child's adoptive parents, Kimberly and Cory Blakley, now face a storm of accusations. Court documents allege the couple subjected the boy to horrific torture, with Kimberly specifically facing charges related to the brain injury and paralysis that left him comatose. Cory is being accused of willfully causing and permitting the child's fatal injuries to occur. The incident came as a surprise to most neighbors, but one neighbor said she heard the alleged verbal abuse. This wasn't an isolated incident. The Placer County District Attorney's Office revealed additional charges against the Blakleys. Misdemeanor cruelty to a child for each of their 7 children, hinting at a pattern of abuse within the household. While the couple will be tried together, they've chosen separate legal representation. Cory with a retained attorney and Kimberly with a public defender. I am not able to find more details, but on March 6th, the community of Rancho Cordova gathered at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to celebrate the life of Cyrus. The service commenced with a video montage showcasing photographs and cherished memories of Cyrus and his siblings. For the first time since his passing, Cyrus's grandparents, Tim and Ramona Blakley, addressed the public. A couple of days before he died, I got a video call from his mom, and it was just the 2 of them. And as he always did, he asked, "When can I see you again?" Ramona said. Cyrus was remembered as a curious and adventurous child, always eager to learn. His artwork and drawings were displayed throughout the ceremony. Attendees were encouraged to wear blue, Cyrus's favorite color. Seeing all the balloons, the church, the decorations, and everyone dressed in blue really touched my heart, Tim shared. Cyrus is survived by 6 siblings and numerous friends and family members. We will always miss his smile, his peace, and his love for everyone. Rest in peace, Cyrus, and thank you all again, Tim expressed. Attendees were also invited to write personal promises to help make the world a safer place for children. These cards will be transformed into a quilt and eventually gifted to Cyrus's siblings.
Your attorneys have indicated you are prepared to waive those rights at this time. Is that correct, Mr. Blakley? Is that correct, Ms. Blakley?
On Friday morning, adoptive parents Cory and Kimberlee Blakley appeared side by side for their arraignment for the first time. Just a week ago, Kimberlee Blakley showed up to their arraignment alone and in tears. Cory Blakley at the time, as the Placer County DA confirms, refusing to leave his holding cell.
This was set for 2 weeks from today for further proceedings, and the discovery process will officially begin. We've come to the opinion that more charges are warranted. We will and file them when necessary, but nothing at this point.
Those children currently under protective custody.
Oftentimes in cases involving children, there are interviews, digital evidence that includes statements of the children. Those are protected as part of the record, and a judge has to release them.
Shortly after midnight on December 19, 2023, the Colorado Springs police responded to a burglary call from 35-year-old Kimberlee Singler. Upon arrival at her home, officers discovered 2 of Singler's children, aged 7 and 9, deceased, and a third child, aged 11, injured. Singler was also found with injuries. She and her surviving child received medical treatment from the Colorado Springs Fire Department and American Medical Response before being transported to local hospitals, as detailed in a police press release. Between December 23rd and December 26th, Singler fled to the United Kingdom. She was arrested in a hotel room there and was in custody, awaiting extradition to Colorado. Her next court appearance was scheduled for January 29, 2024, at the Westminster Magistrates Court in London, a court that handles all extradition and terrorism-related cases. Singler faces multiple charges: 2 counts of first-degree murder after deliberation, 2 counts of first-degree murder of children under 12 by a person in a position of trust, 2 counts of child abuse resulting in death, 1 count of attempted first-degree murder after deliberation, 1 count of attempted first-degree murder of a child under 12 by a person in a position of trust, 1 count of child abuse resulting in serious bodily injury, and 1 count of first-degree assault. El Paso County coroner's records obtained by the BBC shed light on the tragic deaths of 2 siblings.
Children who the police say were murdered in Colorado Springs had a significant amount of a medication that is used to treat insomnia in their systems. That's according to the El Paso County Coroner's Office. Today, the Coroner's Office released autopsy reports for Aiden and Ellie Wentz. Now, in addition to having potentially toxic levels of the medication in their bloodstream, the documents also say that Aiden died of a gunshot wound, Ellie died of a gunshot wound and stab wounds.
On February 6th, Lindsay Clancy lay immobile in a hospital bed, occasionally blinking or closing her eyes, while lawyers presented 2 contrasting accounts of how she allegedly strangled her 3 children. The prosecution argued that the act was premeditated. Clancy had devised an errand to keep her husband, Patrick, out of the house for about 25 minutes, just enough time to carry out the plan. She then used an exercise band to strangle each child, a process requiring holding them down for at least 4 minutes each before leaping from a second-story window, fracturing her spine. The defendant stated that after he left the house that night, she killed the kids because she heard a voice and had, quote-unquote, a moment of psychosis, Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague said during a virtual arraignment via Zoom. She heard a man's voice telling her to kill the kids and kill herself because it was her last chance, Sprague added. Defense attorney Kevin Reddington told a different story.
And this family, as I said earlier, was on a road to hell, and unfortunately, they're not coming back.
A stunning development from a new attorney for Lindsay Clancy, who claims she was over-medicated in the months before she allegedly killed her 3 children and can't be held criminally responsible, what he wants a jury to hear.
Her husband actually went to the doctor the week before and asked for help and said, you know, you're turning her into a zombie. And it was just a brutal, brutal existence that they were living.
In the 2 weeks since Patrick Clancy discovered the horrific scene, the community has struggled to comprehend the tragedy. Lindsay Clancy, 32, a labor and delivery nurse known as a generous friend and loving mother, had no criminal record or history of child abuse involving Cora, 5, Dawson, 3, and the baby, Callan. Clancy has received considerable sympathy, especially from women who have experienced postpartum depression and psychosis. Online supporters have adopted the hashtag LAOL for Lindsay's Army of Love. Patrick Clancy urged the public to find it deep within yourselves to forgive Lindsay, as I have. However, the arraignment highlighted the complexity of untangling Clancy's mental state from her actions. Plymouth County District Attorney Tim Cruz is prosecuting Clancy on charges of first-degree murder, which carries a maximum penalty of life imprisonment without parole, as well as 3 counts of strangulation and 3 counts of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. Cruz, a rare Republican prosecutor in Massachusetts, is known for his tough stance, having secured 2 consecutive life sentences for LaTarsha Sanders, who fatally stabbed her 2 sons despite claims of psychosis and delusion. The extent of Clancy's mental illness is gradually becoming clearer. Prosecutors stated that she had never reported psychosis to her husband, and a psychiatrist who evaluated her in December concluded she was not suffering from postpartum depression. On January 5th, less than 3 weeks before the killings, she was discharged from a 5-day stay at McLean Hospital, without any indication of danger to herself or others. The case unfolds amid increasing awareness of mental illness and systemic failures in mental health care. If I were the DA, I would be reticent to charge this as murder. It feels misaligned with our current understanding of mental health and misaligned with the public reaction, said Daniel Medwed, a criminal law professor at Northeastern University. Society, he added, is way ahead of the law here. More than 24 countries have laws that reduce penalties and provide psychiatric care for mothers who kill children under 1 year old. In 2018, Illinois became the first U.S. state to pass a law making postpartum illness a mitigating factor in sentencing. Clancy frequently posted on social media, leaving a record of family snapshots and updates on her mental health. Last fall, she described a severe reaction to Zoloft, an antidepressant, which caused extreme insomnia and loss of appetite, leading her to stop taking it. In the 4 months preceding the killings, Clancy was prescribed 13 psychiatric medications, including benzodiazepines, antidepressants, mood stabilizers, and Ambien, a sleep aid. This continued even up until the week before, when her husband went to the doctor and asked her for help and said, "Please, you're turning her into a zombie," Reddington said. At the arraignment, he suggested Clancy suffered from postpartum depression and possibly postpartum psychosis, which he claimed was largely ignored. Prosecutors painted a picture of premeditation. Using data from Clancy's phone, Sprague detailed her activities on January 24th, including making a snowman with her children and sending photos to her mother and husband. At 4:13 p.m., she searched for a restaurant to order takeout, using Apple Maps to calculate the drive time. At 4:53 p.m., she texted her husband, who was working in the basement, asking him to pick up the food. They had a brief call at 5:34 p.m., during which Patrick Clancy noted she seemed busy. When he returned home shortly after 6 p.m., he found the house eerily quiet. He discovered blood on the master bedroom floor and an open window. He then found his wife in the backyard with cuts on her wrists and neck. When he asked where the children were, a 911 call captured his descent into the basement, where he found them. At one point, he calls out, "Guys," Sprague said. He can then be heard screaming in agony and shock as he found his children. The children were found with exercise bands around their necks. Cora, 5, and Dawson, 3, were pronounced dead at the hospital. Callan died 3 days later. Maternal infanticide often occurs in the context of postpartum psychosis, characterized by sudden delusions and hallucinations. Courts have responded to such cases in varied ways. The most notable is Andrea Yates, who drowned her 5 children in 2001, claiming she was commanded by Satan. Her first trial in 2002 resulted in a guilty verdict, but after an overturned conviction, she was found not guilty by reason of insanity in 2006. It is common for signs of postpartum psychosis to be missed in high-functioning women, according to Teresa Toomey, a lawyer and author of Understanding Postpartum Psychosis, A Temporary Madness. Toomey recounted her own psychotic break after her daughter's birth, during which she repeatedly warned her husband of intruders and visualized violent acts against her baby. She eventually hid all the knives and scissors in the house out of fear of her actions. In Clancy's case, Toomey noted, "We make the assumption that she would know and could self-report. But for high-functioning individuals, paranoia can mask the illness." In a sermon, Reverend Robert Dehan, who baptized the youngest Clancy child, urged parishioners to be more mindful of the burdens others may carry. The day after the killings, Father Dehan prayed with Patrick Clancy and later visited Lindsay Clancy in the hospital, administering the sacrament of anointing of the sick. In Duxbury, a town with deep historical roots, opinions are divided, with some demanding harsh punishment and others, especially women, expressing empathy. The first thing everybody did was look up her Facebook page, and on her Facebook page you can see literally how in love she was with her children, said Julie Catteneau, a psychiatric nurse and podcast host. "I believe in my heart that this woman was suffering," she said.
The Superior Court arraignment took place at Tewksbury State Hospital. The judge ordered continued inpatient treatment. The court doctor says that although Clancy isn't showing signs of psychosis, she is reporting daily intrusive flashbacks and says she's still suicidal.
She finished strangling the children, returned her husband's phone call, then went up to the bedroom on the second floor. There she used the knife to inflict superficial cuts and scratches to her wrist and neck. She took the remaining pills of the Remeron and Seroquel, and then she climbed out of the bedroom window and gripped the windowsill while dangling from it.
Clancy will remain hospitalized until she can be transferred to a rehabilitation facility. A probable cause hearing is set for May 2nd. Reddington indicated plans to argue that she is not guilty by reason of insanity, emphasizing the need for compassion within the legal system. The legal system is a heartless juggernaut that would not be affected by public opinion, he said. They will proceed as they deem appropriate. I hope they will temper justice with mercy. If they don't, then it will be a trial. Prosecutors said a cheek swab of Clancy's mouth has been sent out for DNA testing. They estimated the wait time for results could be from 3 to 6 months. The next court date is 9 a.m. on Friday, July 26th. On Tuesday, March 26, 2018, a German tourist stumbled upon a shocking scene along California's Highway 1 in Mendocino County, about 200 miles north of San Francisco. The dramatic coastal cliffs and their breathtaking drops to the Pacific Ocean usually inspire awe among visitors, but that day, the scene was far more grim. The tourist discovered a GMC Yukon overturned on the rocks below a steep 100-foot cliff. Authorities were quickly notified, and rescue workers rappelled down the cliffside. Inside the SUV, they found the lifeless bodies of Jennifer and Sarah Hart, both 38. Nearby, 3 of their adopted children, Marcus, 19, Jeremiah, 14, and Abigail, 14, were also found dead. The remaining 3 children, Devontae, 15, Hannah, 16, and Sierra, 12, were missing from the wreckage. Friends and acquaintances of the Hart family were initially shocked by the crash. Known as the Hart tribe, Jen and Sarah Hart were seen as devoted parents who had adopted 2 sets of black siblings and were dedicated to raising them in a socially conscious environment emphasizing love and acceptance. However, as investigators delved into Jen and Sarah Hart's past, a troubling history of abuse and neglect emerged, ending tragically on that remote highway stretch, far from their home in Washington state. The unraveling of the Hart family's story and the tragic end of 8 lives proved stranger than fiction. Jen and Sarah Hart's relationship began nearly 2 decades earlier at Northern State University in Aberdeen, South Dakota. After falling in love, they faced rejection when they came out as a couple, losing friends due to the conservative Midwestern mindset. This sense of being outsiders seemed to follow them throughout their lives. The couple eventually moved to Alexandria, Minnesota, where they both worked at the same department store. Jen, known for her dominant personality, managed the household, while Sarah, more passive, worked. In 2004, they took in a 15-year-old foster daughter, but soon abandoned her without explanation. In 2006, the Harts adopted 3 siblings from Texas: Marcus, 7, Hannah, 4, and Abigail, 2. 2 years later, they adopted 3 more siblings: Devontae, 5, Jeremiah, 4, and Sierra, 3, forming what appeared to be a model progressive family. Yet, warning signs of abuse soon appeared. In 2008, Hannah went to school with bruises, claiming her parents whipped her with a belt. Despite this, no charges were filed, and the Harts temporarily withdrew their children from school. In 2010, Abigail told investigators that Jen had held her head underwater and punched her for allegedly stealing a penny. Sarah took the blame and was convicted of misdemeanor domestic assault. The children were then homeschooled, further isolating them from potential help. In 2013, the family moved to West Lynn, Oregon. There, they continued to present a facade of a happy, socially conscious family, attending music festivals and sharing their life on social media. However, reports of abuse persisted, with observers noting the children appeared underfed and robotic. Oregon authorities investigated but found no concrete evidence of abuse, closing the case. In December 2014, a photo of Devontae at a Black Lives Matter protest went viral, depicting him hugging a police officer. This brought temporary national attention to the family. By 2017, the Harts had moved to rural Woodland, Washington. Neighbors, Bruce and Dana DeKalb, noticed unusual behavior, including a frantic visit from Hannah, who claimed abuse. Despite this, no follow-up action was taken. In March 2018, Devontae asked the DeKalbs for food, leading them to report the family to Child Protective Services, CPS. A CPS visit went unanswered, and shortly after, the Hart's GMC Yukon was gone. The family had left, perhaps fearing discovery of their abuses.
About a week ago or so, one of the children came over and started asking for food. And it went on for a period of time until we kind of determined that he was probably reaching out. And we determined that we should call the Child Protective Services, and that's what we did on Friday.
And you said you think it was Devontae who was coming to ask for food.
Oh,
you know
it was Devontae.
Definitely.
You guys have shown us pictures, and we've talked about that one, that it was Devontae for sure.
Well, they obviously had a separate lives. Their public life was presented, and they did it to us. They portray this happy little family, and yet, you know, the night before, their daughter's telling us, please, 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 begging us not to make her go back and that they were abusing her. I feel like there was nobody in their court. I feel that if there was people that knew these people, how could you miss that? Because I gleaned that quickly with hardly any interface. I was trying to help them and protect them, and this is the result.
On March 25th, surveillance footage captured Jen buying groceries in Fort Bragg, California. The next day, the Yukon was found overturned below the cliff. Investigators determined Jen had deliberately driven the SUV off the cliff at high speed, killing her family. Jen was found to have alcohol in her system, and Sarah and 2 children had taken drowsiness-inducing antihistamines. Sierra's body was recovered weeks later, while Hannah's remains were identified in 2019. Devontae's body was never found, though he is presumed dead. The tragic end of the Hart family raises many unanswered questions about their final moments and the systemic failures that allowed the abuse to continue. For an in-depth exploration of this case, watch Broken Hearts on Discovery+, a 3-part series examining the stark contrast between the family's online image and their harrowing reality. If you or someone you know is struggling, please know you're not alone. Here are some resources that can help. National Suicide Prevention, Lifeline 988. Crisis Text Line, text HOME to 741741. The Jed Foundation, https://jedfoundation.org.